the Buzzer melee weapon. Now, if you couldn't tell from looking at the previous screen, this melee weapon is actually a taser, and a fully functioning taser at that. This weapon has the unique ability to stun your enemies. So, while I normally don't cover melee weapons, I thought this one was different enough to go over and maybe give some impressions and some gameplay on it. Most melee weapons, they have some damage, knockdown, charge time, range, concealment, but they're not really all that different from one another. There's like some slight differences, maybe in the types of swing they have and the swing speed, but for the most part, they're pretty similar. But this is a taser, so how can I not go over it? Anyway, let's take a look at the stats. The Buzzer has a base damage of 20, knockdown of 20, charge time of 4 seconds, range of 200, and concealment of 30. So it starts out with the maximum concealment you can have for a melee, and I do have a few skills affecting these stats. I'm getting plus 10 knockdown and plus 2 concealment. And there's actually some interesting things to see about this melee. For one, as you can see here, the charge time actually does not affect the damage or knockdown stats, whereas they normally would. As you can see, this weapon, the Jackpot, does 30 damage uncharged, but with a fully charged melee, it'll do 61 damage. This one, the damage and knockdown is not affected by the charge time. And the reason that is because the charge time actually affects the stun duration. So the longer you charge the melee, the longer the stun is on the enemy. So that's something to make note of. I didn't actually know that until I started playing around with it. And another thing that I really like about this melee in particular is that for a 30 concealment melee, which is usually what I would call a low tier melee, simply because if I compare it with, say, this, they have higher concealment, but they generally have lower range, a faster charge time, and also pretty meager damage and knockdown. So I split the melees into 3 tiers, low tier, mid tier, and high tier. High tier is probably like a fire axe, which is really high damage, really good range, but really slow swing speed and really slow charge time and terrible concealment. So this is what I would consider a lower tier. And surprisingly enough, it actually has decent range for a lower tier. It does have a very slow charge time, but of course that's because it's a very different melee weapon. Can't really compare that to the other ones. And it does have low damage and knockdown, but it has very good range, so you don't have to get nearly as close to affect your enemy. And I really like that about this melee. I don't have to be right up in its face to tase them. So there's not really much to look at when looking at the stats. I mean, it's fairly weak and it has a long charge time, but it's a pretty good concealment, so you could bring it in stealth if you wanted to, or you could use it in a fugitive build that requires you to have low concealment, or high concealment and low visibility. So let's take a look at this melee weapon. Oh wow, he did not hear that. You're gonna hear this now. Tase everybody! Yes, tase everybody. Tase them, tase them! He's dead. Oh shoot, I should have gotten in first. Oh well, I gotta go run around. So, the Taser, the Buzzer. I'm gonna be trying my damnedest to use this as much as possible for like every kill or something. And the reason why I wanted to go over this, like I said earlier, I usually don't go over melee weapons. What's so special about this one? Well, it's because it's fucking special. It's a taser. You're gonna be tasing people. And not only that, it is actually incredibly useful. And I mean, like, you'll see. You'll just see. I don't think I have Dominator. That's okay, I just keep on tasing him. This is cruel and unusual punishment right here. Bleh. He had a heart attack and died. But yeah, it is an incredibly useful melee. Whereas usually melee is used, simply because you've ran out of ammo, you're running around and you don't have time to reload, stuff like that. Or you're trying to hope to get a domination, stuff like that. Melee is not really all that useful, and for good reason. I mean, if Overkill made the melee too good, it would really, it would really make using weapons not as enticing, and that would just completely destroy the whole point of balance and you know, Lord knows there isn't enough balance already as it is. It would be even worse if they made melee too strong. So, as you saw from the stats, this melee is not actually very, well, strong. You know, it doesn't have a lot of damage, it doesn't do a lot of knockdown. Something that some people rely on is the knockdown on a weapon, you know. Like I said, for those moments when you have no ammo, you need to reload, and you can't exactly approach your enemy in a very favorable way, what you can usually do is, you know, bring out your melee and knock them down. Well, it doesn't have good knockdown, and I don't think, at least I haven't seen at all, this weapon knock down anybody. So I don't know if that's actually a factor. But as you can see, you don't really need to knock them down when you get them stuck like that. And as I mentioned before, the more you charge it, the longer their stun is. So we'll just watch this guy. Yep. And then we'll just stun this shield here, just slightly, and see how long that is. Or... yeah, see, it's a little faster. So charging the stun does give you a bit more of a stun duration. But I really... ooh, well, I shouldn't have watched that long. But I really don't think it's all that useful. Charging the melee, that is. I think it's more than enough just to hit them with the base melee. Because that stun is pretty long, and it basically does everything you want it to. You know, it immobilizes your enemy, it makes them useless for a good 2 to 3 seconds. And for the most part, it's really fast to get out too, you know? Like, just, yeah, it comes out really fast. It's not like a slow swing melee. Okay, I need to regen some health. Over. Stay away from me, Taser. And another nice thing about this melee is that when you have the enemy stunned, they are unable to do anything. So they can't shoot at you, and that also means that for specials, they cannot attack you. Oh, that's a dozer. And you cannot stun dozer, sadly. So, don't try. Whoop, bloop, 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 bloop. So if you stun a Taser, and you can stun a Taser, and if you also stun a Cloaker, they cannot do their special ability. So a Taser cannot tase you, and a Cloaker cannot charge you or kick you. And that also helps your teammates as well, because, you know, if it's not attacking you, then it's not attacking your teammates either. Overall, it's just incredibly useful to have. And something else along the lines of being a nice utility is the Taser gives each and every enemy the same stun animation, which is they stand upright like this, and they stand still too. Their head is completely immobile, so it sets up really easy headshots. You know, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, and it's wonderful. How much more? We got 70 seconds. That's quite a bit, actually. So if you ever have a hard time dealing with, you know, special enemies or just, you know, with your aim overall in general, you could use this melee weapon and just stun everything right before, you know, right before you shoot them. It's really great for conserving your ammo. Ha! And if I can get an enemy to myself, you can also continue the stun, you know, as long as you keep on meleeing them. So, in essence, you can have them completely immobilized forever until they die, as long as you keep on stunning the same guy. And that's not really all that effective. It doesn't do much damage, as I mentioned, so it's going to take a while to kill them. But it is nice in those situations, say you ran out of ammo and there's a Taser right in front of you. You can easily stun it and, like, call out to your teammates, there's a Taser in this area, help me get him, or something, or I gotta reload and run away, or something along those lines. It just opens up your options so much. And I know for me, a dodge user, or someone that uses light armor, runs around a lot, having this melee is incredibly useful, because one of the things that I will do quite often is run around and, you know, I'll run into a cop that I can't deal with because I need to reload, or, you know, a cloaker just came out of the vent right on top of me, and it's usually a race to see who will get who first. Will I get that cloaker, or will he be able to kick me before I get him? With the taser, you don't have to worry about that. You know, you can just run and tase them, and then just run away, or just shoot them. I don't know. This melee is pretty fucking overpowered, in my opinion. Too fucking good. And it's also very fun, too. Duh. Tase. Aw. Bleh. Bleh. See? You can perma-stun them as long as you keep on meleeing them. Oh shit, I'm gray. That's not good. I have been playing very stupidly, but been trying to show off that there taser. I'll take that while I hear a cloaker. So here. Oh shit. One of the things that happens quite often to dodge users is they'll turn the corner too fast, and there'll be like a cloaker sitting right around the corner, and you'll really have no way of dealing with them because they'll already be, you know, charging at you. One of the things I know that this thing does have is that it has the ability to stop a charging cloaker. See, a situation like that where I'm running too fast and I happen to run right into him, he could have the ability to insta-kick me. And generally, it's pretty difficult to get all your shots on and kill him before he does so. But with the melee, you don't have to kill him, you just have to be able to hit him once with it, and then he's completely immobilized. I've never actually been able to kill a charging cloaker myself, haven't had the opportunity. Seems like something that would be pretty cool, but also pretty hard. Though I've been told that it's quite possible. Ah! No! No, stop it! Ah! Take that! Revenge, motherfucker! Uh-oh. That's one thing I can't tase. But I can't shoot at its face. I got you, bub. Ooh. I guess another thing worth mentioning is that while it does have some pretty meager stats, it does have good range, and it also has max concealment, which means, you know, you can take it along with any kind of build you want to bring. Holy shit, what is happening? What is happening? Damn it. Yep. Whoop. I guess we're tossing it up. Uh-oh, too high. It has been a while since I've done this. I usually stand right here and toss into this one instead. Ah, there, see? Perfect. Wow, that sucks. This weapon is just overall really great. I mean, it's incredibly versatile for its usage, and pretty much any build can use it. You know, if you want to bring it on a stealth build, you want to bring on a loud build, it doesn't really matter. Any kind of build, any kind of setup works well. And it's an incredibly useful utility. This is... Yo, man, they be killing me super fast. I'd be distracted. Ah, let the fire do the work. That's John Wick. One of the most satisfying things to do with this melee is to take revenge on tasers. Just tase them through and through until they're dead. Takes a long time, because tasers have a lot of health, and this thing does not do a lot of damage. But, since it does the perma-stun, it's very doable. Also, I don't know where I should run out. Maybe through the front? Front? Don't get sniped. I am gray right now. I guess I'll take the other bag here. Get out of here. This is so shameful. I've used both of the meds. Of course, playing like this, you know, the way I'm playing, which is trying to pretty much tase everything before I shoot, is not in the most preferred fashion. I mean, you should, you know, only really melee when the opportunity presents itself. This is one of the reasons why melee builds are usually so terrible, is because forcing yourself to melee is never a good option. You should only melee when the opportunity presents itself. You know, you happen to be in that situation where it's close quarters, there are not very many enemies, and you're not going out of your way to melee something. So, I guess that's another thing to note about this, is that the buzzer is not good for melee builds because it lacks the ability to actually do a lot of damage. So, if you want to use, like, Infiltrator or Sociopath, I guess if you're using it for Life Leech, it's okay, but for straight-up damage and trying to kill stuff with it, it just does not work. I guess on a similar vein, it's actually really good for the Grinder perk deck, because you'll be able to chain melees through and through without killing your enemy, and you'll leech a lot of life because, you know, as long as you keep on damaging an enemy, you'll gain health. So I guess that's something to think about. But overall, it's a really fucking good melee. I mean, there's really no reason not to use it. Just comparing it to, say, I don't know, probably the most common melee outside of that maybe is, I actually have no idea, but, what's a common melee that I used a while? Toothbrush. Really good because of the fast swing speed, right? But just being able to set up an enemy for easy headshots instead of outright killing them makes it so nice. It's such a useful utility. Not only that, pretty much everything gets tased. As I mentioned, the only thing that cannot get tased is a bulldozer. You can tase tasers, snipers, shields, cloakers. It doesn't matter. Even when the cloakers are running at you, you still have the ability to tase them. That's how crazy this melee is. So, that's the taser for you. OP as heck.